Hello you lovely lot, my name is Max and welcome back to my YouTube channel and another Pokemon challenge. Our journey so far has taken us through luscious Kanto as well as the waterlogged Hoenn region, and today we'll be exploring the beautiful Johto region as we try to beat Pokemon Crystal using only poison type Pokemon. As a preface to this challenge, we will only be using the Johto portion of this game, meaning the challenge will be officially completed once we've collected all 8 Johto badges and beaten the Pokemon League for the first time. Let me know though in the comments below if you'd like to see me complete the Kanto portion of this game in a part 2 as well as the red battle, and I will try and get that done. So let's get some of the admin out of the way for this challenge nice and early. For those unfamiliar, the rules of this challenge are as follows. You can only catch and use the first Pokemon on each game route that matches the type you have chosen for this challenge, which for us is the poison type. If a Pokemon faints, it is considered unusable and must be boxed as soon as possible and cannot be reused throughout the run. Finally, I am not using items in battle and will be playing a set battle style, meaning I will not be able to change Pokemon between wins to increase the difficulty. Now with all that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about these games. You may be surprised to hear that Pokemon Crystal is the only main series Pokemon game I haven't played yet. Although considering I had only just turned 3 when this came out in the UK, that may not actually be that surprising. The second generation of Pokemon games that featured around 100 new Pokemon and some of the favourites from the initial release of Red and Blue, including 15 poison type Pokemon. If only things were that simple, however. We won't be able to fully evolve to get Gengar as we can't trade in this challenge, and we won't be able to get Victory Bell nor Vileplume as the Leaf Stone isn't accessible until the post game. The entire Venusaur line is unobtainable within a copy of Pokemon Crystal. Muck won't be available in this challenge as it is locked to the Kanto region. Moreover, Quillfish won't be available to us until we can get the Super Rod, which is locked to the Kanto region and the post game. And finally, we will only be able to catch one of the Nidoran versions as they are only available in one area in Johto, the national park. All things told, that means we can only get 11 Pokemon for this challenge, with 3 not being fully evolved in Weeping Bell, Gloom and Haunter, making this challenge significantly more challenging than it may first appear. Hopefully all of that makes sense. I'll try and come back to it when relevant during the challenge, but I think that is all the admin out of the way. So without any further ado, let's see how we got on, shall we? Before we get into this video though, please don't forget to hit a like down below, and maybe if you can consider subscribing whilst you're down there. We are getting ever so close to our goal of 150 subscribers by the end of this year, and you showing support in this video goes a long way in us reaching that. So don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe down below, and let's get into the content for this video. Let's get this challenge underway then. We are introduced to the Professor of the Kanto region, Professor Oak, who goes through the usual admin with us, allowing us to select our character who we name Max and set the brand new day-night cycle introduced in this generation of games, which will be very helpful for catching certain Pokemon during this run. With that out of the way, we can make our way downstairs and meet our mother, who gives us the Pokegear, a new tool in these games, allowing us to call other trainers for rematches or to get items, something that we don't have to use a lot for this challenge, but definitely a nifty feature for Gold, Silver and Crystal. Making our way to the town's research facility, we are introduced to this generation's brain box, Professor Elm, an expert in Pokemon eggs who gives us our very first Pokemon in order to run an errand for him in Violet City. The Pokemon we choose as our starter is completely inconsequential for this challenge as none of them are poison types. However, I choose Totodile slightly on purpose as it means that our rival will have Meganium in the end, which will at least make this challenge somewhat easier for us. With our first Pokemon acquired, we were able to make our way to the home of Mr. Pokemon, obtain the egg and a Pokedex, and make our way back to Professor Elm. On our way back, we are accosted by a random kid who challenges us to a battle that we win. Little do we know that he has stolen the Pokemon from the Pokemon Lab and will act as our rival for these games. After completing this tutorial section of the game, we acquire some Pokeballs, catch a Weedle on Route 30 and officially start this challenge. I say officially as we didn't have a poison type or the means to catch one until this point. We train our Weedle up until it evolves into a Kakuna and then into a Beedrill, giving us an early fully evolved Pokemon which will help us no end for this challenge. On Route 33 we can catch a Bellsprout to add to our team, and in the Dark Cave we can find and catch a Zubat, which will add some depth to our team for the upcoming gym challenge. Before we complete this, however, we do some training in the Sprout Tower where we can also find and catch a Ghastly during the night time in order to add a 4th Pokemon to our party. Upon clearing through the Sprout Tower and beating the Elder to obtain the Flash HM, we can now challenge the Violet City Gym and its leader Faulkner. We have a clever tactic for this gym, firstly making quick work of his Pidgey with the Beedrill before switching into Ghastly for his Pidgeotto. We can then put it to sleep using Hypnosis and then safely switch into Zubat, who can easily knock out his Sleeping Bird using Bite to win us our first gym badge. With this win we gain the Zephyr badge as well as the TM4 Mudslap, which isn't much of use to us right now but could come in handy down the line, and we make our way south towards our next endeavours. With our first gym in the bag we can start to progress our way through the main plot of the game, making our way through Route 32 and through the Union Cave towards Azalea Town. After emerging from the cave we can find and catch an Ekans to add to our team, which will prove to be a long-standing member down the line. With our team in much better shape, thanks to some great training, we can aid Kurt in clearing out the Slowpoke well, which is full to the brim of Team Rocket members. The grunts are of little issue to us, allowing us to make our way to the commander, who is leading this operation. He only has a level 14 coffin for this fight, which is easily taken down using our Zubat, giving us the win and saving the resident Slowpoke, who, as I'm sure you can imagine, were delighted. Kurt rewards us with a Lure Ball and also offers us a chance to make unique Pokeballs from the Apricorns spread across the Johto region, which I always thought was a really nifty feature for Gen 2 and can't really understand why they didn't bring it back for later games. Anyway, with that minor inconvenience out of the way, we can work through the Azalea Town gym. The trainers all have bug-type Pokemon, so Zubat is able to easily resist their attacks and clear through the gym in order to take on the leader, Bugsy Malone. Bugsy's team consists of a Scyther, Kakuna and Metapod, however their team is significantly less dangerous than in the remakes due to Scyther not having the U-turn attack. A big problem for this gym is that we can't really do massive damage to Scyther, it'll just keep chipping away at us using Fury Cutter, so after dispatching a Metapod, we put it to sleep using Ghastly before using Curse. This basically places a lifespan on Scyther, so as long as we can avoid being hit, it will go down eventually, which it does with help from our Beedrill, who can then take out Kakuna for the win. This was a really unique strategy for this battle, and I don't normally use moves such as Curse due to the risk factor attached to them, but it really paid off. We get the Hive badge for our win, which enables us to use Cut outside a battle and travel to our next gym in Goldenrod City. Of course, we have plenty of other things to be getting on with beforehand, firstly taking on and easily dispatching our rival on our way out of town before getting cut by luring the Farfetch back to its trainer. Thankfully this is much easier than in the remakes, because for the dozen times I've played a Gen 2 game, I still have absolutely no idea how this minigame works. On our way through the forest we teach Ekans Headbutt from the guy who is going around nutting trees, as well as finding an Oddish, which we have a 50% chance of doing in the evening. We find one, catch it, and then add it to our team. North of Goldenrod City we can also get another encounter. In the national park we find and catch a Nidoran male and quickly level it up so it evolves, becoming a mainstay to this team and maybe one of the MVPs of this entire challenge. I'm probably getting a little ahead of myself, however, as we can now get into the real meat and veg of this section, and probably the most anticipated part of the video, taking on Whitney and her Miltank at the Goldenrod City. You may be surprised to hear that I actually beat her on my first attempt, and maybe even more shocked to hear that I had the entire fight planned out and it went off without a hitch. After defeating the trainers we can take her and her Nightmare Fuel team on, easily taking out a Clefairy with our newly acquired Nidorino, despite it getting a waterfall from its metronome. Now we have the slight issue of possibly the most annoying cow since she won on the Laughing Cow packaging, Whitney's Miltank. We switch into Ghastly, who just manages to put it to sleep despite massive damage from rollout before Nidorino can come in, chip away at it using double kick and take it down for the win to get us the plain badge on our first attempt. And I won't lie, I celebrated this like I just scored the winner in the World Cup final. I was so pumped for beating her at the first attempt. Probably the first time I've managed to beat her in one attempt. We all know how dangerous her team can be if you aren't prepared, and I think this win is a good testament to how good this poison-only team can actually be for us. With peace finally being restored in the universe, we can make our way north of Goldenrod City, not before collecting the watering can from the florists, and taking on our next challenge in Ecruteak City. Before we can take on our next gym, however, we have a lot of work to do on the plot and on our team to be prepared enough for Morty and his ghost-type Pokemon. Firstly, we catch a Spinarak off camera. We don't add it to our team as Ariados isn't the best Pokemon in this generation, and we'll be getting a much better bug-type Pokemon later down the line. Next we get to the grind, leveling up a large amount of our Pokemon in order to attain their evolutions. We evolve Oddish into Gloom, Zubat into Golbat, and Ekans into Arbok, giving us some really strong Pokemon for this section of the game, with each of our Pokemon being at least level 26. We also have to head to the Tin Tower where we meet a guy called Usain before taking on our rival for the third time, beating his much improved team, still without much issue, before falling into a hole in the ground, never to be seen again. I'm just kidding, we find ourselves in the chamber of the legendary beasts who roam into the wild for us to never encounter or even have a hope of catching again. In this area we can also find and catch a coffin to add to our team. This was actually a lot earlier in the game than I intended to catch one, so that definitely ends up working in our favour. Anyway, we can now take on the gym in Ecruteak City, a ghost type gym that we find ourselves extremely well equipped to take on. Upon beating the trainers with ease, we find ourselves challenging its leader Morty, who I remember being pretty difficult in the remakes, but ends up being a bit of a pushover in Crystal to tell you the truth. His Gasoline Haunter go down to Golbat, and he then sends out his Ace Gengar, where we luck out massively with it missing Hypnosis, eventually going down to 2 bites from Golbat, leading us to also take out his second Haunter, giving us the win. This win rewards us with the Fog Badge as well as the TM for Shadow Ball, which we teach immediately to Ghastly for a high damage stab move that are few and far between within the Ghost move pool. We can also head to the dance hall in Ecruteak where upon beating the Kimono Girls we can gain the Surf HM from one of the customers, which opens up the remaining parts of the Johto region. We now have a few options from this point, either travel west and take on Olivine and Simonwood City's gyms, or travel east to complete the events with Team Rocket, the Lake of Rage and the Mahogany City gym. I always thought this was a great addition to these games, giving us a chance to do the story in a different order for each playthrough. However, for the purpose of this challenge, we stick to the intended order, heading towards Olivine City and up to the summit of the lighthouse, where we find out that the Ampharos lighting it is sick. Therefore, we must help, travelling to Simonwood City to collect the antidote to its mystery illness. On our way across to the next gym, we can find and catch a Tentacool, the only water-type Pokemon available to us in this challenge, and maybe an extremely underrated Gen 1 Pokemon that proves to be very handy in this challenge. Whilst in the area, we'll also head back to the ruins of Alph where we can find the Moonstone, the only one you can find in the Johto region to the best of my knowledge. Anyway, we use it on Nidorino in order to evolve it into a very powerful Nidoking. In Simonwood City, we can get the secret potion from one of the houses, as well as take on our 5th gym challenge against the fighting type trainers and Chuck. The trainers cause us very little issue, so we can go take on Chuck pretty quickly upon our arrival. He kicks off with a Primeape, which goes down to a single wing attack from our newly evolved Crobat, before 2 further wing attacks can take down his Ace Poliwrath in order to win us the challenge. And that's really it. 3 attacks, no damage received, we have the Storm Badge and the TM for Dynamic Punch. I'm not going to lie, I have never struggled against Chuck in any Gen 2 game, mainly because I have a Crobat in my team at this point, but also because this team has so many weaknesses and is significantly underleveled for this stage of the game. As we return to Olivine to save the day, we receive the HM for Fly from Chuck's wife, and also beat Usain in the optional battle north of the city as he continues to stalk Suicune. With that very troubling thought in our mind, we head to the top of the lighthouse, administer the medicine like a real doctor, and then make our way to the Olivine City gym and a direct fight with its leader Jasmine. You would think with us having poison types we would be at a significant disadvantage for this fight against steel types, but it isn't much of an issue for us, and despite having a decent level advantage upon us, both a Magnemite go down to our Arbok and its strong dig attack. Before we then switch into Tentacruel in order to deal with her a Steelix using 1 Surf for the 1-hit KO and collecting our 6th gym badge. Our wing grants us the Mineral Badge as well as the TM for Iron Tail. Not really a useful move for this run, but definitely a powerful move on the right Pokemon. Our journey now takes us to the direct east of Ecruteak City, heading towards Mahogany Town and the penultimate gym battle, but there is some significant plot for us to clear beforehand. Firstly, we can catch a Venomoth during the evening in the route preceding the Lake of Rage, a mainstay in our late team and a Pokemon that ends up being pretty useful for the Elite Four and a wider Pokemon League run-in. Secondly, we spend some time leveling up our Pokemon into the mid-level 30s, around the same as Pryce's Pokemon. This includes evolving our Coughing into Wheezing and getting our low-level Venomoth into prime fighting condition. Thirdly, we have to take on the shiny Gyarados at the Lake of Rage, which is such a shame because I love the red Gyarados. I would love to have had it on my team during this run. Finally, we can meet Lance, a very insignificant player in this story, before heading to a mystery hideout of Team Rocket underneath the house in Mahogany Town. The grunts are of little issue to us in this section of the game. Our main issue is trying to remember which of the grunts have the password in order to get to the final part of this challenge. However, with the passwords eventually obtained, we can take on the Rocket admin, his Raticate, Zubat and Coughing causing us no issue before we head downstairs and to the main command center control room. To be honest, I spent a good 5 minutes on the script for this part trying to figure out what to actually call this. Whilst chewing on that thought, we can take on the final Rocket admin for this section, and to be fair, her team is well more rounded for this fight. We eventually take down her Gloom, Murkrow and Arbok using the Arbok of our own, winning the fight and clearing this very tedious part of the game that I always hate doing during playthroughs. We can now take on the Ice type gym in Mahogany Town, not before getting the Sludge Bomb TM from the guard near the Lake of Rage, a must have for anyone attempting this challenge. The trainers in the gym are a little bit tricky as we don't have a direct counter for that Ice type Pokemon, so we teach Nidoking Dynamic Punch to help us beat Pryce's slippery team. Pryce's battle is up next. We sweep through his Seal and his Dugong using Nidoking and his Dynamic Punch, which isn't an ideal move due to low accuracy, but it really seemed like our best option at the time. This then brings out his Ace Piloswine, which we can take down using Tentacruel and a single Surf attack. Our win awards us with the Glacier Badge as well as the opportunity to wrap up the main arc for this game, clearing out Team Rocket from the Goldenrod radio tower. This section of the game is slightly different to that of the remakes, with us skipping our fabulous makeover in the Goldenrod underground, meaning we can get right into the thick of it, taking on the guard at the bottom of the tower's stairs. We can then challenge the grunts as we work our way to the director's office and eventually a fight with one of the Rocket admins. This fight is fairly easy, having only Coughing, which we can use Venomoth to make light work of, and then attain the underground key, granting us access to the location of our hostage and the next juicy section of plot progression. Upon reaching the basement, we are challenged yet again by our rival, who has significantly improved his team since our previous meeting in Ecruteak City. Tentacruel and Weezing make light work of Golbat, Magnemite, Haunter and Sneasel before we make a bit of a meal for ourselves against this Meganium, struggling with Arbok before eventually taking it down with a slither, pun intended, of HP to spare, winning us the battle, and I guess the bragging rights to take on Team Rocket for this section. We can then take out the grunts in this area as well as work our way through to the real director this time, freeing him and obtaining the key card, which will grant us access to the right hand side of the radio tower. With this in mind, we make our way back to the tower, open the card controlled gate, and eventually find ourselves at the summit of the tower, taking on the final two Rocket commanders. The first is a rematch from the commander in Mahogany Town's base. Havarplume, Arbok and Murkrow are still too weak to handle our Spice in our poison type Pokemon, before we eventually challenge the final commander and I guess the de facto final boss for this game. This battle was a lot easier than I'd expected it to be. His team consists of a Coughing, Houndour and a Houndoom, and even with a half cut team we can easily take them down, taking no damage in the process and completing the main arc of this game without even really breaking into a sweat. We can now resolve the outstanding gym challenge on our radar, that of the Blackthorn City gym and its leader Clair. Firstly, we need to obtain the clear belt from the director, which we never really come back to. I wasn't really sure what I needed to do at this point, so I just ended up continuing the game via Mahogany Town. Next, we work our way through the ice path connecting both the 7th and 8th gym. Here we can get the HM for Waterfall, as well as some useful items and completing some training before heading into the Blackthorn City gym to challenge its leader and the trainers, sitting at around level 40, the same as the leader's ace. The trainers are made quick work of, mainly having Dratini and Seadra, which are of a little concern to us at this late stage of the game, and we eventually complete the puzzle and challenge the Blackthorn City gym leader, Clair. Her team consists of 3 Dragonair and a Kingdra, which ends up being really testing for our skills in this battle. Venomoth is just about able to take out our first 2 Dragonair, however paralysed and on a slither of health, it can't continue and we're forced to make the switch into Weezing, who takes out her final Dragonair but is also left clinging on for dear life, meaning a switch is needed for the Kingdra fight. After Arbok gives a good go of it, Tentacruel comes in to mop up the scraps, taking its best attacks and eventually taking down Kingdra using Acid to win us the fight and our final gym badge. This was easily the hardest fight of the challenge up to this point, which is probably quite fitting for the final gym, and I feel we did quite a good job in mitigating the strengths of her team using our limited move pool and typings. With this win, we receive the Rising Badge as well as the TM for Dragon Breath, which would be perfect for Lance's fight. However, none of our Pokemon can learn it, which could be a huge blow for the success of this challenge. We can now get to work training our Pokemon to around level 50 for the Pokemon League and making our way through Victory Road. Once we worked our way through, we can take on our rival for the final time, who's gone soft and started showing his Pokemon love and affection. Pathetic. Anyway, his fight caused us a little issue, with us not losing a single Pokemon in this challenge up to this point, which I'm sure is going to change quite soon however, but let's not get into that too quickly. With our team at level 50 and having stocked up on items, we ready ourselves for the final challenge of this poison-only Nuzlocke, the Pokemon League. Our first challenge is Will. This needed a lot of prep and a couple of dummy runs, and other than the champion, this was the single hardest fight of this entire challenge due to our weakness to his psychic typing. We eventually work out that our best strategy is to take out his Versattu and his Jinx using Tentacruel before switching into Nidoking. Slowking was easily my biggest issue for this battle due to its bulk, however it does choose to set up stat boosting moves before attacking, allowing us the opportunity to hit 2 Earthquakes with Nidoking to take it out. From here it's pretty straightforward, taking out his second Xatu with Nidoking before Crobat one-shots his Exeggutor for the win in our first battle. Our next challenge is Koga, the former Fuchsia City gym leader and now our rival for the strongest poison type trainer in the Johto region. His Ariados goes down to a single wing attack from Crobat, with his Venomoth suffering a similar fate. Nidoking can then take out his bulky Fortress, which gives us some resistance, as well as his Muck, with Tentacruel taking out his Crobat, handing us the win and showing us to be the best poison type trainer in the Johto region once and for all. Next comes Bruno and his sturdy Pokemon. Crobat and Tentacruel really shine in this fight, taking out his Hitmontop, Onix, Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan with pretty much no issue, and forcing Bruno to send out his Ace Machamp, who goes down to a single fly from Crobat. And that is pretty much it. This was a very easy fight, as was the case in the Leaf Green challenge. However, had we missed a move or used the wrong strategy for this, we could have very easily lost the run at this point. It is genuinely that fine margins at this point in the challenge. Our final battle of the Elite Four is Karen and her brand new Dark type Pokemon. She starts with an Umbreon, which we are easily able to take down using Venomoth and its Sludge Bomb. However, she follows this with her Houndoom, which is a massive threat to our bug typing. Therefore, we switch into Tentacruel, taking it down with a single Surf to put us 2 up. From this point, Crobat comes in to clean up shop, sweeping through Vileplume, Gengar and Murkrow with little issue to win the fight, defeating the Elite Four and getting us within 1 fight of beating this challenge. Lance's fight will close out this challenge, but will we win? Leave a comment below saying if this is going to be a challenge won or a challenge lost. Here we go then, Lance kicks things off with the bane of our last challenge, Gyarados. However, we are able to maneuver it using our Crobat without much issue whatsoever. However, it does get off a Rain Dance, meaning Thunder from his next Pokemon, Dragonite, has an increased accuracy boost. Expecting this, we do switch into Nidoking, who resists electric type attacks, to take out his first Dragonite using its sheer strength. Nidoking is pretty hurt though, and won't be of much use to us for the rest of this challenge, so I make the conscious decision to sacrifice it, doing as much damage to his second Dragonite in the process. And this works wonders for us. We may lose Nidoking, but he does massive damage and leaves the second Dragonite within 1 attack of going down. His sacrifice will not be in vain. However, I thought the run was almost over against Aerodactyl. It almost takes out Tentacruel before managing to take out Venomoth with a single move. A huge loss to us, as Venomoth has been a clutch for us so far in this challenge. Weezing eventually takes out Aerodactyl, leaving Lance with just 2 Pokemon. He sends out Charizard, who takes out Weezing with a single hit. However, it doesn't last much longer, going down to a single Surf from Tentacruel. This leaves him with just 1 Pokemon, his Ace Dragonite, and we have 3 Pokemon left at this stage. Surely we have to win it from here. Honestly, I'm not too sure about that though. It easily takes down Tentacruel and begins using Outrage, meaning Arbok doesn't stand a chance, going down to this behemoth, not before getting off some cursory blows in the process. This leaves us with a 1 Pokemon shootout, its Ace Dragonite, against arguably our ace, Crobat. We hit it with a single wing attack, surely it's within our grasp, but then Lance uses a full restore, meaning that the fight has to be over now, surely. But no, we are able to eat his outrage attacks like it's a light summer's breeze before eventually taking down his Dragonite once and for all and eventually completing this challenge. We did it, we won, and it felt so good. I almost jumped out my chair during this fight because of the tension going on, but then I realised it was like nearly 1 AM, which probably wouldn't have been good for the parties involved. Nevertheless, the challenge is complete. Let's see how we got on then, shall we? After the debacle that was our water type only challenge, I thought this challenge would be beyond us, but we managed to score a huge win, meaning we are 2-1 up in Pokemon challenge successes. I got a chance to use some Pokemon that I really quite liked actually, Tentacruel, Arbok and Venomoth in particular, who blew away my expectations, managing to last all the way to the end, and they weren't even passengers for this, making huge contributions in the process. However, I would be remiss to not speak about the MVP of this run, and easily one of my 3 favourite Pokemon of all time, Crobat. It was there from the beginning and managed to win us the challenge as the last Pokemon standing. I always, 100% of the time, will have one in my team for a Gen 2 playthrough, and I would say that I have more than justified this selection through this challenge. As for the premise of this challenge, can I beat Pokemon Crystal using only Poison type Pokemon? It took some effort, but yes I can, and I had so much fun doing it. If you want to suggest Pokemon challenges for future videos, please don't hesitate to leave them in the comments section down below. We've journeyed through the first 3 generations of games, so if you want me to take on the DS generation of Pokemon games, let me know as well in that comments section. That though does wrap up this video, taking on Pokemon Crystal using only Poison type Pokemon. If you did enjoy it, I would really appreciate you dropping a like on the video, and maybe even consider subscribing whilst you're down there. It would go a long way in showing support to the channel as we race towards 150 subscribers by the end of the year. You can also follow me on social media at MaxDJGoodwin on both Twitter and Instagram. These are the best places to find out when new videos are going live, and also when I'm spitballing new content for the channel. With that being said though, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day. I will catch you later.